Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel Third Eye Media. Let's begin with today's current affairs session. First topic of the day is Supreme Court to list before polls please to verify count in all EVMs. So EVM stands for electronic voting machines and VVPAT stands for voter verifiable paper audit trail. A series of petitions have sought a complete count of VVPAT slips as opposed to the current practice of verification of votes in only a few EVMs in each assembly segment through the slips. The petitions have referred to a reported judgment of the top court in 2013 in Subramaniam Swamy versus Election Commission of India that the election process should have fullest transparency in the system and to restore the confidence of the voters. So they are actually asking to compare EVM's count with respect to that of VVPATs. Next, in Supreme Court, Tamil Nadu accuses Centre for delaying disaster relief funds. Tamil Nadu on Wednesday filed a suit in the Supreme Court accusing the union government of treating the people of the state in a stepmotherly fashion by delaying the release of disaster relief funds of nearly 38,000 crore sought by Chief Minister M.K. Stalin to help tide over the twin calamities of Cyclone Michong and unprecedented floods. This stepmotherly treatment violates the national disaster management policy, including financial relations and the federal nature of tax division by unfairly allocating funds to some states over others. The state of Tamil Nadu submitted in the court. The suit was filed by the state under Article 131 of the Constitution. So, very important is under Article 131 of the Constitution, they filed a suit in the Supreme Court. Next, hay fever has its heydays with temperatures on the upswing. The combination of dry weather, falling leaves and hot winds has created ideal conditions for pollen allergies, causing symptoms such as nasal congestion, sneezing, red eyes, itching and headaches. With the onset of summer, Hyderabad residents are bracing not only for scorching temperatures but also allergies. Among these, pollen allergies, also known as hay fever, are on the rise, signaling discomfort for many. Pollen allergies triggered by the release of pollen during the reproductive cycle of certain plants have surged slightly in Hyderabad. The combination of dry weather, falling leaves and hot winds has created ideal conditions for this allergic. Sorry for the interruption. Pollen allergies triggered by the release of pollen during the reproductive cycle of certain plants have surged slightly in Hyderabad. The combination of dry weather, falling leaves and hot winds has created ideal conditions for these allergic reactions, causing symptoms such as nasal congestion, sneezing, red eyes, itching and headaches. Antihistamine drugs prescribed by doctors and local steroid nasal sprays are common treatments. Next, heat to rise by 2 to 3 degrees in next few days, forecast IMD. Hot days continue in Telangana, with the Indian Meteorological Department forecasting that the maximum temperature is likely to increase gradually by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius during the next 4 days at isolated pockets on Wednesday. Temperatures of over 40 degrees Celsius has been reported in several places, with the TS Development Planning Society reporting that the highest maximum temperature of 43.5 degrees Celsius was recorded at Narsapur, Nirmal. Next, Telangana government lays down steps to mitigate effects of heat wave. Recommendations include staying hydrated by consuming ample water, avoiding direct exposure to sunlight and remaining indoors between 12 pm and 4 pm. Additionally, precautions entail refraining from outdoor activities during peak sun hours, preventing children and pets from being left in parked vehicles, and avoiding walking barefoot should individuals experience symptoms such as fever exceeding 104 degrees Fahrenheit, excessive sweating, drowsiness or muscle cramps. Immediate action is advised. Next, political affiliation does not influence selection process of new Sainik schools government. The scheme for new Sainik schools is well thought out, and the political or ideological affiliation or otherwise of the applicant institution does not influence the selection process, the Defence Ministry said on Wednesday, responding to some reports. Sainik schools were established in the 1960s under the Sainik School Society, which is under the ministry, and there are 13 existing schools. Given the demand for Sainik schools, the Union Cabinet had in October 2021 approved the proposal for launching 100 Sainik schools under public-private partnership to be affiliated with the SSS. Detailing the selection process, the ministry said the evaluation process includes a school evaluation committee comprising the district magistrate concerned as chairperson and principals of nearby existing Sainik schools or Navodaya Vidyalaya. Physical inspection of the applicant school and verification of the credentials is done as per laid down criteria, it stated, and an approval committee that consists of the joint secretary, SSS SSS has chairperson, secretary of CBSE, and an eminent educationalist as members accord to the final recommendations. Will accord the final recommendations. Next, nuclear power is key to development, says study. India must prioritize investment in this energy sector and expand related infrastructure if it is to be on track to become developed nation by 2047 and achieve net zero by 2017, says IIMA report. For India to be developed country by 2047 and be on track to achieve net zero or effectively zero carbon dioxide emissions by 2017, it must significantly prioritize investments in nuclear energy and expand related infrastructure, says a study by academics at the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. Currently, nuclear energy makes up only 1.6% of India's energy mix. The best case their calculations showed where emissions in 2017 fell to 0.55 billion tons of carbon dioxide, that is net zero scenario. This translated to nuclear power rising 5-fold from today's levels to 30 gigawatt by 2030 and 2065 gigawatt by 2050. To put in perspective, it means nuclear power contributing 4% of India's total energy by 2030 and sharply rising to 30% by 2050. In the same scenario, the shape of solar power falls from 42% in 2030 to 30% in 2050. Currently, figures from the Central Electricity Authority say solar energy accounts for 16% of India's installed generation capacity and coal 49%. Overall, India would need close to 150 to 200 lakh crore between 2020 to 2070 to finance these transitions, the report added. Next, India rejects report on abusive conditions at shrimp hatcheries. India, the biggest supplier of shrimp, US favorite seafood, has strongly refuted allegations of human rights and environmental abuses raised by a Chicago-based human rights group. Top Commerce Ministry officials will meet seafood exporters on Thursday to discuss efforts to squash such attempts at maligning its global reputation. In 2023, India's seafood exports stood at $8.09 billion or 64,000 crore, and shrimps accounted for a bulk of these exports at $5.6 billion. India has emerged as one of the world's largest shrimp exporters, and its share in the US market has risen from 21% or $1.3 billion to 40% in 2023, with shipments worth $2.4 billion, far ahead of rivals such as Thailand, China, Vietnam, and Ecuador. About a lakh shrimp farms in Andhra Pradesh alone account for almost 70% of India's shrimp output. Women are reckoned to account for 70% of the 8 million odd jobs in the sector, including 2 lakh in hatcheries and aquaculture farms, and the rest in processing and freezing units. Next, high crude oil prices a cause for concern, says official. Rising crude oil prices are a cause for concern for the world's third largest importer of the commodity, India's Oil Secretary Pankaj Jain said on Wednesday. Geopolitical premium as a consuming nation, any increase in prices will cause concern and anxiety, Mr. Jain said at an industry event referring to the geopolitical premium in crude prices. If oil prices continue to stay higher for a month longer, oil marketing companies will take an appropriate decision, the secretary said, when asked if there is a case for increasing retail fuel prices. India plans to build first commercial crude storage. India plans to build its first commercial crude oil strategic storage as part of efforts to shore up stockpiles as insurance against any supply disruption, India Strategic Petroleum Reserves Limited. An SPV created by the government for building and operating strategic petroleum reserves in the country has invited bids for constructing 2.5 million tons of underground storage at Padur in Karnataka, according to the tender document. ISPRL, that's nothing but our Indian Strategic Petroleum Reserves Limited, had in the first phase built a strategic petroleum reserve in underground unlined rock caverns at 3 locations. Next, hologram blockchain can curb fake drugs. Hologram and blockchain technology should be used as major tools to prevent the sale of counterfeit drugs in the market, said Sheetal Arora, CEO, Mankind Pharma Limited. Holograms and security labels embedded with advanced anti-counterfeiting features, 3D holographic images, unique patterns, and microtext are the most difficult to replicate, Mr. Arora said. Similarly, blockchain improves traceability via end-to-end tracking of shipments. Curbing fake drugs assumes importance when the Indian pharmaceutical industry worth $50 billion in 2023 is likely to touch $130 billion by 2030. According to WHO estimates, almost 10.5% of the medications sold across the world are either substandard or fake. Next, High Court nixes GST notice to Mark staff. The Bombay High Court strikes down 3,731 crore demand by GST officials against employees of global logistics major Marks for alleged tax evasion. The judgment could bring relief to other employees at companies embroiled in GST disputes. So, what is the background? The High Court ruling notes that employees cannot be ordered to pay tax penalties imposed on companies. GST officials had alleged that a sum of 1,561 crore was wrongly utilized as input tax credit by Mark's company. Bombay High Court says it is disproportionate for revenue officers to hold employees responsible for Mark's liabilities. Marks is a foreign company which does not have any employee or fixed establishment in India. Next, Zimbabwe president declares El Nino drought a national disaster. El Nino effect. El Nino causes the Pacific jet stream to move south and spread further east. During winter, this leads to wetter conditions than usual in the southern US and warmer and dry conditions in the north. Uganda court rejects challenge to controversial anti-gay law. Uganda's constitutional court on Wednesday rejected a bid to scrap a controversial anti-gay law that is considered one of the toughest in the world. It imposed penalties of up to life in prison for consensual same-sex relations and contains provisions that make aggravated homosexuality an offence punishable by death. 9 dead, 1,000 injured as 7.4 strong quake hits Taiwan. It was the strongest earthquake to have struck the island in the past 20 years. Strict building regulations and widespread public disaster awareness believed it to have staved off a catastrophe. The quake has strongest sense of one of the 7.6 magnitude struck in September 1999, killing around 2,400 people in the deadliest natural disaster in the island's history. Wednesday's magnitude was 7.4. Quake hit just before 8 a.m. local time with the US. Geological survey putting the epicenter 18 km south of Taiwan's Hualien city at the depth of 34.8 km. So that's all for today. Thank you guys. That's all for the day. So hope you guys like the video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you.